Jordan Peterson has very important stuff to tell us, okay? You have all been, surely, sinners. Here's Jordan Peterson reading from Exodus, not a Christian, by the way, reading from Exodus to tell us how sex is not entertainment. If you are entertained by sex, if you're having a good time, total wretched sinner.
And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife.
So if a man has sex with a woman that isn't married and like tricks her into it, then she has to become his wife. Cool. That's not oppressive at all. Not a bad thing.
I'll read the 22:17 as well. If her father utterly refused to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins.
So if your kid goes and has relationships with people, or person, I guess, and doesn't want to marry that person, the dad has to pay a I fucked your daughter fine. Classic Exodus. This is like TBR with Jordan and Jacob.
Okay, now this is a very interesting...
Holy shit, there's way more men here. What the fuck? There looks like a lot of goddamn racists at this table.
Rule, in my estimation, principle, because this
just came out. Wasn't this a while ago? Isn't Dennis Prager basically dead now? This is 4 days old. Isn't this from an older thing we watched before? Also, isn't this guy a white nationalist? Like a devout white nationalist? Am I mistaking him for a different guy? This guy also looks like a Nazi.
Rape.
What?
Rule, in my estimation, principle, because this isn't rape.
Right.
The maid is enticed. She's attracted and does this, it's implied voluntarily, but that nonetheless, the man is obligated to make her his wife or to pay the penalty if that's impossible. And this might be worth discussing, although it's obviously very contentious. There's a pointer here to the sacrality of sex. And of course, in our culture, we're tempted to believe that sex can be mere enjoyment, a form of entertainment, I would say, a light form of entertainment even.
So different kinds of sex, I get. I don't know. I don't think I wouldn't call sex a light form of entertainment. Maybe he means porn or something. Sacral sex involved the butt? How dare you? Sacrality is crazy. The sacred holes. Keep them sacred and pure. Sex is fun, yes. I haven't considered it entertainment before, but I suppose sex is definitely part of entertainment. Sexy things are entertaining. Having sex is a good time, so I guess you could call it entertainment, although I sort of put it aside into a different category of having a good time, I suppose. In the same way like eating isn't entertainment, but having a meal that's superfluously delicious and not just for nutrition it's a good time, but it's not necessarily entertainment, I guess. I don't know. We could bicker about that, I suppose. Jordan would love that conversation. What even is entertainment in a metaphysical sense?
And that the reason that that's the case is because, in principle, we have reliable birth control, and so the consequences of the sexual act that have been lessened in their heaviness. And so then the question opens up in front of us, if we have reliable birth control, is sex then now to be properly regarded as just another form of entertainment, or does it carry with it the burden of something approximating permanent relationship? And
that's really fucking stupid. I just don't know. It's got to be. It's like some of them it's pedophilia, others it's just control. I don't like the desire for them to say that. Well, sex doesn't. It must lead to procreation, or it's lesser or different or cheapened or slutty. It's so weird. Like they're addicted to the cream pie thing. They're cool or whatever, but like relax. Let's dabble elsewhere. Not everything has to be for procreation.
My sense is that even though the technology has enabled us to prevent the ultimate consequences of the act.
He says the ultimate consequences of the act instead of pregnancy, and I don't know why. Jake is after our cream pie rights. Cream pie to your heart's desire. I think you should have more. That's why I think you should have birth control. It's just nice. I think men should definitely be having some birth control. I would not be opposed whatsoever to a pretty normalized expectation that a young man, when, we determine the age is right, around 18 probably or thereabouts, to get a fucking vasectomy because it's reversible and low impact and pretty cheap relative to, any sort of like tubal ligation for ladies. It is responsible and would help so many people if we just like made it normal. Or guy pill or sure, but like I feel like that's a little more cumbersome and you can fuck that up. Like anything you got to keep doing is not as ideal, but a little fallopian tube, or not a fallopian, a little vas deferens snip would be nice. And free sperm just in case. Sure, I don't care if you want to. I don't care. You don't have to worry about it.
I don't believe that mitigates the seriousness of the interaction. Mm-hmm. And I think the fact that we've lost that has damaged intimate relationships almost beyond repair.
It's damaged intimate relationships because if my wife doesn't want to get pregnant, she doesn't have to. I feel like her being happy is pretty good, actually. Like her being happy and not being forced to do anything with her body she doesn't want to do makes her happy. So I like that. I reap the benefits of her being happy. And we can have sex without having babies. Isn't that sick? That'd be so dope.
By making the part of them that is most significant emotionally and physically into something that's now as trivial as the lightest of entertainment. I don't think it's done us well. And
is it trivial to fuck? I don't think so. I think it can be normal. I don't know if it's trivial. It's still like an ordeal. It's a whole thing. It's like working out, You get sweaty, probably messy, a little tuckered out, need snacks after, you yap a while, etc.
Now, obviously, that's quite a conservative position in the political sense, but
yeah, it is.
Everything that's I see going on around me seems to point to...
Conservative or rational?
Conservative or rational, says the former living husk of Dennis Prager, who is now... I mean, they won't publicly wheel him out because he is stroked out somewhere in a chair, drooling like the fucking villain in Breaking Bad.
Well, not being cute. Why is it conservative? Conservative might be prescriptive, but what you've described, I read over and over in left-wing sources, in progressive sources, how many depressed young women there are in the culture of our what is it called again? The
hookup.
The hookup culture.
Yeah, right.
Very few people would say that this has benefited women.
Well,
in hookup culture, I mean, the women who are upset are saying the quality of man I am looking for is not there, and then the men are upset because none of them are having sex because the women are saying they're not worthy of having sex with, so I'm not going to. They have not deserved it. And so this is a good thing.
Well, I also see in the left-wing culture there's this strange splitting of attitude towards sexuality. And so on the one hand, there's this proposition that every possible variant expression of sexual desire and action is not only permissible, but to be celebrated in a mandatory manner.
Disagree? I think being sex positive is just to not give a shit what other people are up to if there's consenting adults involved. Like, fine with that. You can do whatever you want. Like, I'm not celebrating people that, like, I don't know, vacuum seal themselves into a latex thing and then get beat with a broomstick. But I do understand why they'd be into it from because I'm into stuff that's not that, right? That gets them going. I can't help it. They can't either. Yeah, go for it.
But simultaneously, every single interaction that's even vaguely sexual between a young man and a young woman is so pregnant with danger. So
pregnant with danger. He just can't stop thinking about pregnancy.
To speak, that it has to be reduced to an explicit contractual arrangement before it can even be undertaken.
That's so ridiculous. Why does he think having sex in left-wing spaces is like that? To get consent? Like, sometimes consent is not like, can I have sexual intercourse with you? I mean, it's never been that, really. It's just about, like, consent comes in a lot of different ways. I don't know what to tell you. You can verbalize it in so many different interesting and fun ways.
And so I think the fact that both of those exist, those tendencies exist on the left simultaneously, the left being that part of our political discourse that tends toward the breaking of arbitrary constraints.
The left wants to break arbitrary constraints, make them sound cooler. I agree. I think we should break from useless restraints that we keep on ourselves.
That's an indication that there's some underlying set of regulating principles that's been violated. You get
the regulating principle of white landowning men's expectation on how their power is supposed to be well wielded over women as property. And the rest of us are like, nah, that sounds stupid. We're just going to do whatever we want. And, you can't stop us. And that's where you're upset. Like, it's just an unnatural attempt by right-wing people. And this is what the whole thing is. Like, right-wing conservative freaks are quite unnaturally trying to control the human animal in ways that we don't wish to be controlled. Like, there's systems we can put in place that can alter our behavior here or there, like giving everyone their needs and stuff like that. Making sure they have health care and education and housing and food and water and community space. But, like, they just want to control people and be like, you can't live this way. No, you can't do it. It's like, just not going to work. It just leads to social strife. It's so strange. Like, they can't step away from themselves for 1 second and zoom out and be like, is controlling people by the millions going to be effective or doable? It never will.
Excess in libertinism on the all sexual proclivities are to be celebrated front, and this simultaneous...
They always strawman it. It's to be celebrated. To not be opposed to someone's sexual enterprise is not to be celebrating it. If you are, like, really into sucking toes, I am not into it, okay? I don't want to watch your toe sucking videos, your belly button sniffing videos, your fart huffing videos, I don't want it. But I don't care if you do it at all. I don't give one shit. I don't give the shit that you wish was shat on your chest if you do it or not. Jordan Peterson really does, though. Turds can only be in toilets. Does a bear shit in the woods, chat? Then you can shit on each other's chests.
Legalism that emerges because that does put young women in in uncomfortable situations that are extraordinarily hard on them. So you get questions arising, for example, well, can a young woman give consent to a sexual interaction of any sort if she's intoxicated by alcohol?
Well, there's lots of factors that go into this. How intoxicated? Who's with them? What's the situation? Is the person that's trying to have sex with them intentionally getting them drunk and trying to coerce them? Like, yeah, man. Also, you can be two drunk people who consent to sex. This happens too. I don't know why he's confused by it.
And it isn't the right-wingers who are
it's not just women, by the way. It's men and women. Obviously, he understands in an implicit way that men are sexually aggressive on a social level more significantly than women in a way that would suggest that they're automatically, even in his own head, he envisions a white, right-wing Christian man being the rapist in his own head, or sexual assaulter in his own hypothetical, implicitly, without even thinking about it. He just defaults to the reality that this is the culture that women are forced to live under by his own prescription.
Up that issue fundamentally. Yeah. It's the left-wingers, and their answer is, well, no, absolutely not.
That's a contradiction of tectonic proportions.
I would love to sit at this stupid fucking table with my T-shirt on and my flip-flops and my weed.
Absolutely.
Within that worldview.
What it isn't
crack my Mountain Dew Zero Sugar open on the table, plop a pizza box down, maybe share it.
With though is this.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not reciprocal. This is this is saying that if I don't see here an equal and opposite commandment. If a woman entices a man to sleep with him, then she's
forced to marry him. Right?
No, this is the view here is that men have an absolute responsibility not to engage in commitmentless sex, and that to do so is to take or do something that is not reciprocal, and so conservatives who want to point out these hypocrisies on the left should have to grapple with whether they are prepared to speak a kind of truth to power to men and say this is intrinsic to your masculinity.
So anyway, Christians really struggle with these kinds of concepts. Look at how he has to push through and really work out how to have sex as a man. It's so much easier over here in atheist land. This is the steel man of the atheist position. Most people watching this agree. And if you don't, I would love to hear from you. Humans are animals. Humans are sexually reproducing animals. We've evolved to like sex, to encourage us to do it. It's a survival mechanism to proliferate the species, which has obviously helped continue the species. You have sex to your heart's desire, because the only thing that's going to determine sex is your interaction with other consenting people. So just go have some sex. Where you don't have to center your life around it. You can. It's up to you. You get to seek pleasure in the limited amount of time that we live here. It's not sinful. It's not scary. It might be stressful, I guess. But it's not to try to navigate your emotions on the way towards sex. But ultimately, at the end of the day, especially once you get comfortable with yourself and your sexuality, sex is like natural, man. It's okay to have sex and sexual feelings. There's nothing to be ashamed of. I really just want to impress on Christians anywhere that your slim view of the world and your limitations on your own body and pleasure-seeking behavior is just so sad to me. And you don't have to live like this. If you want to fuck more, you don't have to be embarrassed. It's not sinful. You can just admit it to yourself, and then I can help you.
Is to take responsibility in this regard.
There's that famous documentary that came out recently, What is a Woman? And there's actually
the famous documentary, he says on the Daily Wire Plus, plugging the thing that is on the Daily Wire. Jesus Christ.
A biological answer to that question. There's a multitude of them. One of them is, maybe you could say this, that's the principle of the biological reality, is that the female is that sex which takes primary responsibility for reproduction and bears disproportionate weight in doing so. That's what constitutes female, and that's true.
Jesus Christ, what a cumbersome thing. That's not what constitutes female. Yeah, this is a terrible definition.
Right at the level of sperm and ova. And it propagates.
Female is just a biological designation. It has to do with your reproductive abilities. That's it.
It's fractal.
And they want to apply some broader like social norm to it that doesn't apply. Just because you have the ability to like be on the receiving end of sperm, I guess, to create life instead of being on the giving end of the sperm, like they think because it's like you hold in the womb the child, it's some kind of like now sexism is valid. I don't know. It's so weird. It has no prescription on how you need to act, what you need to look like, the kinds of social behaviors you need to engage in, the way you need to express yourself. It's an utterly, truly benign aspect to your personality. The only thing that needs to matter is if you feel right in yourself. No matter what that is. We don't like gender is a social construct that he is trying to describe and is unable to. And this is what we're talking about. When they all have different definitions of this shit, you can tell that they don't have an idea of what's going on. Human beings are like obviously more complex than just like, if I have a dick, I like baseball. You know what I mean? Like, it's not if I have a pussy, I'm going to be a motherly, loving figure that likes to bake pie. You know? That's obviously untrue. There are, at best, the only evidence we have is that we socialize people to be a certain way, and most people, to some degree, find happiness in the degrees of separation from what they're told they ought to act like. And if there's overlap with how they ought to act from his perspective and how they do want to truly act, their life is just a little bit easier than another person's. And to the degree you deviate from that is how queer or gay or whatever the fuck you are, trans you are to these people. But it's an entirely meaningless thing, utterly. The most meaningful thing that goes on with our gender or our sexes at all is the effects it has on your experience, like having periods or getting kicked in the nuts or something like.
So the reason it's the man that's taking advantage here is because
they're the violent sexual predators of all history, and we know that.
The price he'll pay for it is nowhere near as high as the price she'll pay for it, either emotionally or conceivably practically. And so it is fundamentally his sin. Right. And I think it's very...
Right, guys? It's our sin. It's sinful to have sex, right, guys? It's not. Also, of course, this is heteronormative, but like it's whatever. As a dickhaver, baseball is dumb. How dare you? How dare you not like baseball? You would like baseball if you spent every waking day with me, just as Baby has learned.
Fusion in the young. I mean, so I work in a very odd kind of college. It's a good one. But we figured out that the kids don't understand much about sex. And so we started offering a course called The Theology of the Body.
Oh, really? The theology of the body. Oh, they didn't. The Christian kids didn't know about sex? That's crazy.
And it is the most popular course on the campus now. And, you know, we're having to recruit half the faculty to teach it. Because,
using the teachings of John Paul II?
Yeah, such things. You know, in other words, they understand sex is very consequential, right? It's a big thing. And
it's so stupid. They just want to learn about their bodies. Come to Papa Jake's sex ed class, okay? Dude, how could we get a bunch of Christians to show up to a sex ed class on the internet? That would be amazing. Put out flyers. We need flyers. Sex ed class for all Christians. I'll teach you. You don't have to be a sophomore in fucking Christian college to learn that it's okay to have a sexuality.
In what way is it a big thing? And how should you, because they want it.
Papa Jake's sex ed class has more funding than some states. I wish. Subscribe immediately.
They're human. What is its purpose? And all of that, right? And it's not enough to say, because like we're talking about details here that are almost romantic, because
What's
the
romantic?
Preciousness of a woman, we teach the young men.
He doesn't know about sex either. He can't even talk about it. He's embarrassed.
Don't foul that. That's a wonderful thing. And
virginity is a wonderful thing. In his voice, virginity is a wonderful thing. Love it.
Listen, it's good for them.
Conservatives like to talk a lot about the hatred of men and the diminution and the problems in the education system. They're completely right to do so, but we really have to ask. I mean, to what extent some of it is a consequence of the abdication of fundamental responsibilities?
Yeah, I think it's not only an
like what?
abdication of fundamental responsibilities. It's also a diminution of the pleasure principle itself, because I don't believe that.
Not a woman at this table, I've noticed.
It's unreasonable to make the presumption that there is no more sacred act than sexual congress.
Disagree. You could definitely have more sacred acts. Like throwing a really beautiful birthday party for your old cat, and everyone else brings over their cats, and they all dress up, and you have like a tea party and pretend that you're servants for the queens or kings or lords and ladies that are attending the banquet. And then you all have a really great time. And you also you wear your nice stuff too. And then everyone hangs out with the cats. I mean, I'm just spitballing here.
In some fundamental sense. And then what that means is that to diminish that to the status of light entertainment.
A kitty quinceañera? Oh, that's really cute. If your kitty makes it to 15, you have like a party. Oh.
Is to take the thing in your life that could be among the highest and to make that nothing but that which is casual. And that means there's no increment on the hedonic side at all. Quite the contrary. And I would say I think part of the evidence for that seems to be that more and more young people aren't having sex.
Why are these young conservative men that we've groomed to be right-wing freaks not having sex? I don't know. It's a mystery. Why are the women of that same age group moving further to the left and saying that they wish to have better treatment from their male counterparts? I have no idea. It's an unknowable mystery.
They're not engaging in relationships while they're not having sex with another person. I mean, pornography use is rife, although even there's now evidence that among young men, the proportion of young men who have zero sex, which includes even the use of pornography, has started to climb up dramatically.
Yeah. So that's climbing up dramatically because of this thing I said. You're telling a bunch of kids who are dumb and impressionable that they should be right-wing freaks who are antisocial, and that they can't have any sort of like connection to their sexual self. They can't look at porn. It's evil. They have to be literally. I had guys in my mentions last night screaming at me. I was having a conversation with Merrick on the internet. Are you familiar? She is a sex worker, but also a leftist, and we were having a conversation about these men. And I just like the kind of like shit they sling at you. They're just like, the OnlyFans roast beef thought shit. Like, yeah, she's cool, but like we've been mutuals for years. Like I don't know. They just can't be normal. It's crazy. It's just an unrelenting deluge of misogynistic fear that they feel. And it's not going to be healed until they listen to people. And not these guys, like left-wing people, like mostly the women that are talking to them. But literally, I'll take any sort of source of information that helps. They will not be laid or have quality relationships until they are normal and good times to be with. And then they will find themselves blooming into the people that they're supposed to be. Otherwise, they're just going to have to live this right-wing facade that these old crusty men are forcing them to live, like literally telling them to. Come on.
And so it could
look at these guys.
Easily be that we put ourselves in a situation where making sex as freely accessible as possible and as casual as might be imaginable has actually demolished its hedonic utility as well as its...
Sorry, Jordan, my hedonism levels are fine. I'm doing a good job on the hedonism. We could pump the numbers up, if anything. It's definitely, there's room for growth.
As well as its integration within a broader set of moral constraints.
Holding nuts there.
This may be very obvious, but if you take your view, which I agree with totally, there's a way towards that, and this is safeguarding. In other words, the young man who's done that hasn't gone through the betrothal and the dowry and all that sort of stuff. So it's a protection of the very ways that the
This guy's going to pretend that he fucks?
Jews saw you had to approach marriage.
I'm glad that's over. Holy shit. You could hear in between words, anytime they cut to like here, when it's just on Jordan, the other guys are bent over and sniffing each other's assholes. And when they cut to the wide shot, they're all back, but you can see that they want to go back down for some. Like when they're cut over here, dude, Jordan Peterson is now currently buried in this guy's butt. Taking nice long sniffs. Beautiful stuff. Not sexually, though. Intellectually.